Give it to me like...
So this is the DAB podcast. Is that so? What is DAB? Where does this come from?
It's the Dushin and Andy Brothers podcast. Bros.
Okay. And how do you guys know each other?
Oh, he's been one of my oldest friends for
middle school, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know Dushin had any friends.
Yeah.
Man, I thought I was the only one, man. That just like, man, let me keep you some company, buddy.
He was a loner too.
Did you? No. Oh, I was gonna say.
No, I'm kidding. So middle school. You guys met each other in middle school?
Yeah.
Okay. And
20, going on 25 years.
Yeah, so 25 years ago, I met him at middle school, and we weren't hanging out so much in school that much. We were still hanging out, but then there was a place called the Teen Center, Boys and Girls Club in Milpitas.
nice.
He started hanging out there. I started hanging out there. We met majority of our close friends there, or my close friends there, and it's
Yeah.
from there.
Just hit it off.
Then we
High
started
school,
hanging out
yeah.
at Teen Center, and then I think WrestleMania is what really cemented that.
You guys went to WrestleMania?
We have gone to
before,
WrestleMania.
yes. I don't believe in wrestling anymore.
Yeah, dude.
It's different.
But
Because you guys were the WWF.
Yes.
I see. I'm the WWE when like Rey Mysterio.
Oh, Bar Mysterio was still part of WWF. Actually, he was
Well,
part of
yeah,
WCW.
but
Or
like,
WCW.
I mean, if I mention some wrestlers right now, you guys are probably not like Undertaker was part of the WWF.
Yeah.
It was my favorite. But I'm talking like, Triple H. You guys know Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I mean, you guys
Stone
know.
Cold.
See, I wasn't a part of the Stone Cold or like The Rock when he had the
I
hair.
advise you to go back and watch Stone Cold.
Well, let me tell you this. You know what I did experience? The ice cream man and his WWF ice creams. You guys remember those?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, the actual
WW
ice cream man.
The ice cream man.
Yeah.
No, not he's not a wrestler. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember.
You guys
a
remember those
wrestler named the
cookies?
Ice cream
Yes,
man?
they're like brown.
With the
liquid.
Exactly. With the
blue
chocolate,
packaging.
it comes with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
card.
There was an ice cream man.
There was a Hulk one,
No,
yeah.
His name was Ches. I'm not sure if he's still around, but yeah.
Bro, you know the ice cream man's name?
Ches. Yeah, everybody did. Everybody did. That's how popular he was.
That's awesome.
Because he was the only one that hit the schools after we got out. And
I feel like that was an underhanded
Ches.
fat joke.
It was. That's exactly what. That's what we were talking to. You guys were calling yourselves fat, so I was like, you know what? I guess you guys opened the door for that. So, but
Yeah,
no,
you
I'm.
don't know every server's name that Pasta Pomodoro?
Well, actually, since you brought that up, I do want to get into fitness.
Well, that's what it's about. I'm here to
Yeah.
challenge you guys, And Dushin wanted to make this very light and easy, but I'm like, what you talked about talking to your dad and being very direct with him and setting him straight that he might just take those necessary actions to get himself out of that little pity party he was in and put on his big boy pants and make the change for the better. And so, like, yeah, that.
What are you talking about?
So,
Okay, give him some context. Yeah.
Yeah, so, oh man. So basically, my dad, he kind of fell into a little bit of a rut, in with how things were going, and just kind of feeling down on himself, right? And he and I had a fairly intense conversation.
Uh-huh. Is this around the time you called me about that conversation?
Yes, when I called him lazy, yes.
No, I'm talking about how you were calling me, like, hey, what happened to what's his name? And I was telling you, like, damn, we're getting to the age where we need to start paying attention to our bodies.
Oh no. That was a different conversation. So
Okay.
so this was just again. I don't think my dad or I were kind of either of us were happy with how the relationship was kind of flowing, right? And I just kind of said some things that I think he needed to hear. I feel like he had gotten a little complacent with certain aspects of the relationship, and it was creating tension between us. And finally, I just kind of said some things that were on my mind, and he did not like it. But I have noticed, a considerable difference in how he behaves.
The point is, it's just, being direct with somebody, and that's a proverb, from the scriptures is like, honesty at first, it might offend somebody, but in the end, they'll appreciate it, right? And that's what I was talking about, is like, you're direct with somebody, and at first you might get offended. But if it's done with love and out of like, hey, look, I care about you, that's why I'm going to speak up and say something. Like, yes, you might, like, for example, I'll put it out there, my sister and alcohol. I love her, right? I just heard a story of this kid, this 19-year-old kid who got killed by a drunk driver. She by this lady. She was driving with 2 kids in a car. She was driving this Range Rover at midnight, runs over this 19-year-old kid, kills him. It was a hit and run. They ended up finding her right away. But it just made me think of my sister, because, my sister struggles with alcohol. She has 2 kids.
And like, by the way, she didn't check if he was breathing, nothing, just hit and run. Boom.
Apparently she just hit him and boom, she was gone. But they found her right away. So the point is, like,
damn, I at least checked my dude to make sure he was still breathing.
Well, what if you didn't know it happened?
Bro, this 19-year-old kid, and I'm laughing now too, but and you know what, man? Like, sure,
obviously I didn't hit or run someone over. That was a joke.
And I know, bro, because there's like
you didn't get the joke, huh?
No.
The point is,
I was like, oh, she didn't even check to make sure he was breathing, nothing? And he was like, no, she just took off. So I was like, oh, at least with my dude, I checked to make sure he was breathing.
So when things like that come up, and I think about my sister, I'm like, look, if nobody tells you to get your shit together, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be the one, because I care about you, and I don't want you to end up in jail with manslaughter, with all the, like, the DUI is the least of it, right? Like, dude, you're going to prison. And on top of that, I don't even feel sorry for you, because I'm looking at your kids that you left behind because you chose to be irresponsible. So, you're talking about your dad and his situation. I'm talking about my sister and alcohol. And then we're talking about, fitness and like people who are overweight and really dealing with issues. Like you mentioned you're, playing with your kids. And that's a big thing about what I'm trying to do is actually help fathers. Specifically, because I wasn't lying when I said I actually gained a lot of body fat when I had my first son, because I wasn't getting
stationary.
Well, yeah, you're a lot more stationary. You're eating a lot. You're not sleeping, so that's a stressor in itself, and you're holding on to fat, and the lack of exercise. And it wasn't even because I was making excuses. It was because I was wanting to be home with my son. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be away for 2 hours. Like, I want to be with my son. I was so excited. And so, one day turned into months. And then before you know it, it's like, holy crap, my mom's like grabbing my love handles, and she's like, like checking me. And I'm like, holy crap, I took my foot off the gas. And in the end, at first I thought I was doing them a favor, my wife and my son, by staying home with them, by spending more time with them. And then I fell into like this, not depression, but I was not my best self. And I feel like that was even worse, because I was like, man, I'm capable of more. And, if I'm not being my best self, like, I'm not giving my best to my wife or my son. And so I need to take care of myself, right? I need to give them the best version of me. If I don't work out, my attitude, my mind, everything is off. I need to get to the gym. That's the start. My nutrition needs to be in place. I need to feel my best. I need to give them my best. So you got to take care of yourself. And so,
did you have that type of motivation before you had kids, or when your kids came, it enhanced more?
It was different,
Like, obviously, you're trying to better yourself for yourself.
Yes.
And to be healthy.
I always had different motivating factors. What got me into fitness was MMA. I started mixed martial arts when I was 12. And before then, I never went to the gym. I never worked out. I never even thought about it. It just wasn't even a thought. And I started mixed martial arts. And because I was so tall, my coach put me in class with adults. And I was 12 years old at the time, and these guys were whooping my ass. And I was learning technique, but I was getting my ass whooped every time. And I'm like, I'm just weak. Like, I'm missing that strength.
So you gain that competitive nature.
So I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to take a break from MMA. Please get me a gym membership. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to compete with these guys. And I went to the gym, and I fell in love. And I just was like, I got as strong as I could, and I started to work out, and I fell in love with it, and I just developed a passion for fitness. So that was a motivating factor. And later on, different things, or sports, and.
Do you mind if I point something out?
Sure.
Why do you do that?
Do what?
When you find something to be difficult that you're not proficient at yet, you get really down on yourself. And I feel like you go completely about it a different way. Now, I have noticed since you have
That's
had
interesting.
kids,
That's very interesting.
You have had kids,
I see it
you stay much more focused.
I see it differently. I don't see it as being down. I see it as motivated to be better in perfection.
I could see both sides.
Here's why I
agree
that.
with you more, but I could see both sides.
Here's why I say that. When you were in the car business, right?
Sure.
I saw the potential that you had.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people did. And, you know, you had the willingness to learn and the drive and all that stuff, but you had these things that you wanted to accomplish, right? You wanted to take care of your family. I remember we had conversations about that. And you wanted to get married, you wanted to have kids and all this stuff. And you were kind of like, in my mind, and I told you that day, right? You were giving up, right? That's how I felt in my mind, right? I knew you were doing it to go and do better things, right? But I was kind of the opinion, get great at one thing and then add something else. Yeah. Whereas the difference that I've noticed with you since you've had kids, just in the way we speak to each other, right? Like you are so, it's like you've been sharpened, like a really dull knife has been sharpened to the most wonderful point that could cut through anything.
It's focus.
Where was that moment that you finally got that just boom? And you, even in our last conversation, you said, now I don't have a choice. I have 2 kids and a wife. If I don't do what I need to do and what I need to get done, they're not eating. Like, and it was the determination in your voice, right? And you were different. You, since we were very young, when you want to do something, you just do it. You put your nose to the ground and you do it. Whereas with you, I feel like you had kind of like a moment where you got unleashed, right? Where you were just like, boom. And it was that you got to the point where kind of, I've looked up to him for so long, I got that with you as well, where it was just like, fuck, nothing's going to stop this dude. Was it like...
So you basically talking about motivation?
Yeah, because you asked about motivation, right? So, like, was it something where you kind of were self-reflective and, you know, you thought about
basically when that switch flipped?
Yes. Like, do you remember the moment that switch flipped?
When you're at 12, obviously.
Well, look, man, I'm thinking about Conor McGregor. Do you guys follow Conor McGregor?
Hey, he can be an idol for sure.
What's that?
He can be your idol for sure. Someone you look up to?
No, it's not even. It just reminds me of something he said, because they asked him. He was having an interview, and he said, they were like, Did you think you were going to sell out this arena? You know, did you think you were going to have millions of fans? He's like, absolutely. Like, I knew this was going to be it. This was what I was working towards. In the back of my mind, I mean, you saw me date a bunch of girls, bro. Like, I knew that they weren't it. I knew that wasn't what God had for me. I knew that I always wanted to be the best dad. When I see myself and my kids, you know, my wife would always tell me, she's like, man, you're 25, you have kids. Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, I always knew this was going to happen. Like, this was always what my cards were. Because I believe God had promised me that, and I had visions of it, and I could see it so clearly. I bring that up because that's what made it easy for me to make decisions like that, because I knew that even if I left Mercedes, my fate was still, I mean, it was destined for me, regardless of how many times I would mess it up or not, whatever I try to do to alter it. It's like, what's destined for me is destined for me, period. But I'm not answering your question. My answer to your question is, it was a lot of things. I keep thinking of jail when I got locked up. Okay, it's funny because I just shared it with somebody. I was at a club in Campbell, and it's like midnight. The club closes at 1. I'm like, I think I had like a drink. I remember the Warriors actually were playing. What's that?
That's actually Rose McCann's San Jose.
Is
it?
Yeah, Santana Row.
Yeah, Santana Row. That's the Irish pub, right?
Well, they moved then because they had a Roses out there before, back in the day.
It wasn't a
They had
Rosie
an Irish
McKinn's.
pub there in Campbell, but it was never Rosie
It might have
McKinn's.
not been called Rosie, but okay.
So this place is, I'm at this place and I'm looking at my buddy and I had like a couple drinks, but, and I'm not just saying this to say this. I really wasn't drunk. I was very clear-minded this night. And previously I had already gotten a DUI, right? So this night, fast forward, I'm drinking again and I'm like, you know what, man, I'm sick and tired of this. Like, I'm ready to change my life. And I'm sitting at the bar and I'm like, I'm just looking around. You know, you have those moments, you kind of step back from everything. And I'm like, I'm sick and tired of this. I tell my buddy,
Like, why are you doing this, right?
yeah, like, why are you here? Like, did you not just get a DUI? Like, you're about to drive home right now? Like, what are you doing?
Like a self-reality check.
Yeah, man. And I've had a lot of these, but this one was like, it was different, man. I took action, you know, because before I would have those thoughts and I'm like, another shot, another beer, like drown it out, right? Like, shut up, you know? I tell my buddy, I'm out of here, bro. He's like, what? And I started explaining to him. I'm like, bro, I'm just sick and tired of it. You know what I mean? Like, I need to get out of here. And he's all supportive, you know what I mean? And yes, he was kind of drunk. So he's like, oh, bro, yeah, for sure, man. Like, you know, get out of here, go do your thing. Like, you know, go change your life. And he's giving me this pep talk. And it's my friend Christian. He probably could recall this conversation, but I'm just making a point. Like, it was this what do they call it? This starlight moment where it's just like, I remember, this conversation. I get in my car, I leave the parking lot, I get to an intersection, there's a cop across from me. And I'm like at the other intersection across from him and I'm like, oh my goodness, I start freaking out. And I want to get away from him. So I make a right. And as soon as I make a right, I see arrows pointing the other way. I take a right on a one-way, right in front of the cop. I'm thinking I'm going to get away from him. I should have just drove past him, bro. It would have been perfect. Instead, I try to get away from him. I look at the floor. I'm like, oh my goodness. Instantly, I see the red and blues. He pulls me over. One thing led to another. I'm doing a DUI test. 30 minutes later, I'm still there. Everyone's getting out of the club now. Right? Because I got out before the clubs let out, right? And so, bro, I was on probation for my first DUI. I get arrested. They book me into Elmwood that night. I spend the weekend in jail. Just being in jail, like, when I left, I was so grateful for the life that I had, right? Because when you're in jail, have you guys gone to jail? Ever? Well,
My whole life I pride myself in not being arrested at all, and it hasn't happened yet.
yeah.
You never even put in cuffs?
Never.
Behind a cop car? Nope. Yeah, they suck. Plastic, small seats for a 6'3" guy.
I made sure that I never put myself in a situation.
Good.
And they purposely squeeze those motherfuckers so tight.
Oh, dude. So I left jail and it just made me so grateful, man, for everything. I always say how, like, in jail I didn't have a pillow. And then when I got home to my mom's, on my bed there was 5 pillows, right? And I'm like,
make a pillow out of all those toilet paper rolls?
well, when I was in the holding cell, I used a paper towel, a roll of paper. But it made me very grateful. Okay. And when I was grateful, I started to look around at everything that God has allowed me to borrow in this lifetime and be a steward over. And I started to really take care of it. And so even like the little, what do you call them? Just the bottom of the walls. What are they called?
Baseboards?
The baseboards. I would clean them and wipe them down because I'm like, I'm taking care of every single inch of my room and every single inch of my life. And I'm dissecting and I'm analyzing and I'm examining everything. So not just my floors, but my heart and my mind and my actions and everything that I'm like trying to do in life. That made me the man that I became the man that I respected, and I became the man that I would have married. You know what I mean? That I would like to be with. That I could look in the mirror and say, man, like, I respect you. Like, good job, you know? And then my wife came along. And I truly believe that it wasn't until I became that man that, you know, God was going to give me my wife. And that's why 2.5 months later, after meeting her, we got married. We just knew. I'm like, you're not my girlfriend. You're not my fiance. You're not just my wife. You're the mother of my children. And we got married 2.5 months later. And so, I think it was really going to jail that started this whole snowball.
You basically ran off a second chance. You seen it as a second chance to get your life straight and don't take it for granted.
Bro.
And then you started, I bet at that time, that's when you started following and studying and becoming a believer. And he sacrificed his life for you, and you just didn't want to take that for advantage. And you've seen that, right?
I had been saved since I was 18. This all happened when I was like 22 or 23. So I had 5 years out in the world knowing that Christ was my Savior. And he allowed me to just be out there. But now I know that it just all had to happen. You know what I mean? It all had to happen that way.
Like the different person that I see you as now compared to just a few years ago, like the insecurities, all of that, I just saw gone. Like before, I knew I could fuck up your day making fun of your hairline, like Zio, right? And now, like you're just like.
Now my hairline's even worse.
I'm not talking about like the confidence that you have, right, in yourself. It's just such a noticeable difference, and it's one of those things that I respect in you, same as I respect in you. You guys have this breath about yourself, like you're so sure of yourself and what you're capable of now. Like, well, first off, what are you doing now? Because I know you've gotten successful with your business. What are you doing?
Yeah, and just to go back to what I was saying about when we're talking about religion before this, like, not focusing on arguing with people, focusing on what you got. It's I think it comes from that too, is like I don't even have time to, like, there's so much going on in the world. It's like, bro, I'm just focused on paying the rent, feeding my kids, taking care of my wife, taking care of my clients. It's like, oh, someone's making fun of me. Like, it's not helping me pay the rent. I don't even pay it any mind. I can't afford to pay it any mind. So if I choose to focus, I can easily fall back into it really quick. But it's just focusing on me, right? And so that's a perfect segue to what you just asked. My passion is fitness, man. It started when I was 12. I didn't know what it was all going to look like. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I just knew that if it could be, fitness, that would be awesome. Never thought that I could pay the bills by training people. And bro, even becoming a personal trainer, I'll share with you guys and I'll share with the audience. I wasn't meant to be, dude, if I was a personal trainer when I was younger with no self-control,
you probably have a lot of kids right now.
Bro, everything happens when it's supposed to happen for you, and I'm not saying that, dude, my industry, believe me, it's not like I'm with girls all day in the gym and like, I'm just watching, like, bro, I help. So I'm thinking about Betty, my 85-year-old client who I help because she went through COVID. Her husband died. She sat at home for a whole year and a half, lost her ability to do anything and everything. And so now I'm just helping her. Like, we do step ups on her stairs. You know what I mean? I'm like having her do certain things on her, like, you know what I mean? That's my life. I truly help people that really need it. And, yes, there's younger people that I help, but like,
so quick question. Are you personal trainer, or are you like physical therapy? What type of?
Yeah. So I'm a certified personal trainer and a certified nutrition coach, and I'm a hybrid coach. So I do in person and online, and that is my focus. But now that I'm in this industry, I realize like it's so broad. There's physical therapists, there's chiropractors, there's registered dietitians, there's just it's such a grand scope, and I wanted to go back to school and do physical therapy, and I think that I might. I want a degree one day. I want a degree from Stanford. I want to go to Stanford one day. That's that. I just want that on my wall. My story wasn't getting out of school, getting that 4.0, but one day I just want to show my kids, like, bro, I want to Stanford.
It's like being in high school.
I want a bumper sticker.
Poster of that car you want, and you end up getting it.
And it's because I don't need it. I want to be so successful. It's like when Shaq, have you guys heard about that? Like Shaq wanted to go to school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he paid for 15 of his friends. And like, bro, Shaq doesn't need to go to school.
Do you know how that happened, actually?
Well, they didn't allow him to do in person.
Well, there wasn't enough students
for somebody to
do the class.
exactly.
There has to be a certain amount of.
So you guys, yeah.
So he called all his friends and he made a class.
Yeah,
exactly.
And he was like, "I'll pay for your tuition."
Dude doesn't need to go to school. It's one of those things where, like, later on in life, I just want to go to Stanford and I want a degree. I think it'll happen sooner than later because I do want that knowledge. I realized I can only help people so much, and I do need that knowledge, right, to really, really heal people. I want to be able to not just help people get a better physique and, you know, get their macros and their calories right and lose some body fat. Like, I want to help people.
What's the name of your company, by the way, so people can look you up?
So the name of my company is JL Personal Training, and
they can find you on socials?
Instagram. So I actually had a personal training Instagram. After I hired my coach, he told me that fitness was only 20% of it. And he wanted me to really show my life and my kids and my friends and not just make it all about fitness. And so I deleted that personal training Instagram, and now it's JL_Heredia, my last name. And it's me. So it's not really my business. It's me, you know, and I put it all out there, my faith, my fitness, my family, my day to day. And so that's what I do. I'm on all social media platforms, but just as myself, you know, because that's another
links in the descriptions.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you for the support. And yeah, man, that's what I'm doing, you know, and it's crazy to me that, like, we were talking about the car business and how much time you spend in the dealership. I mean, I would have 13-hour days, 14-hour days easily. I was thinking about December and how you told me December was the busiest time of the year.
It was a Super Bowl.
It was a Super Bowl.
Every day was Super Bowl.
31 days in the dealership. 30 days because you're not going Christmas.
What time would I show up every morning?
7?
7 in the morning, and I'd be there till about 1, 2 in the morning.
I mean, this,
every day.
Bro, so I don't know if you know about this guy. And
he's told me stories about work, but I didn't know about
the
Super Bowl.
The main thing you like. The thing about douching is like, it's like I think I use this analogy because I watched The Sandlot. You guys, obviously you guys.
Yeah.
But he's like, he calls his shot. You know what I mean? Like he put, like, that's what Dushin did. Dushin put his arm up in the air, and he's like, that's what December's going to be for me, a home run. He's like, I'm going to sell 30 cars in December. He's like, just watch.
Which is wild. Like,
it's wild.
It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
So basically, you were going for a record.
I wasn't trying to break a record. I just had a personal goal for myself. I know how much I could earn.
But why was 30 the goal, though?
Because they told me I couldn't.
Bro, yeah, I don't know why 30 was the goal, but it was like, it sounded right. It seemed right. I'm like, dude, that's insane. And he did it. He did it. He called it. He did it. And he spent every single day in there. And it's like, you're talking about how our switches just went off. Dude, you just turn on that switch and you just decided to, like, it's like you knew what to do. You knew how to do it. You executed. Like, it was just amazing. And that made me realize, like, everything you say, I'm gonna give my ear to this guy. Like, I might not apply everything, and I don't apologize for, like, wasting your time. I don't think any time was wasted, but
I never said that you wasted my time.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of people have their opinions, and I just, you know, I knew that I was gonna apply everything that you taught me. I just knew it wasn't gonna be at Mercedes.
And that's what I meant before. Is, to me, in my mind at that time, and I think it's because I just didn't watch you enough, or maybe I just didn't know you long enough. Like, to me, it looked like you were giving up.
Yeah.
And that that's what I told you that day when you left. I was like, don't give up, dude. Don't give up. And you left, and I was like, fuck, you just gave up.
Yeah.
And it's not until now that I realized it's not that you were giving up. Again, you were taking that sharpening stone to the blade. So, again, I thought, like, I saw the way that things were going, right? And I thought, I made a snap judgment about you, right? In my mind, I was like, damn, dude, I really thought I was giving this dude the keys to the kingdom, right? But it's like, I just showed you can make 30 grand in a month without a degree, right? Just boom, here you go. And in my head, I was like, oh, he gave up, he threw it away. And then now I see it and I'm like, again, dude, you've created a successful business with the sharpening stuff. You've got married, which you told me you wanted to do, sharpening stuff. You've had 2 beautiful children. Like you're putting together the life that you told me you were going to have.
Yeah.
Right? And I love seeing that with you.
I love you telling me that, man, because it's man, it's the best.
Doesn't it feel great though? Because we touched on a podcast a few weeks ago about how men don't get recognized for their accomplishments.
Yeah.
Just men in society and they are just expected to do things.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel good for another guy to tell you, hey,
appreciation feels amazing, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's not why I do things, but every now and then I think we need it.
Yeah.
We need it because what
it's kind of like fuel to the flame. It just makes it keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. We need respect as men. Yeah. Like it's not something that we want. It's something that we need. Just like women need love and affection, they need it. We need respect, right?
And recognition.
Well,
that
recognition comes from you being respected.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It goes with it. Once you get the respect, it's recognition.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so that's that core thing, man. And coming from you, it I appreciate it from anybody. You know what I mean? But I love that you got to see that, man. And
it was a beautiful thing to witness. Just like I told you, man. Like going back to high school, right? I know I told you some of the stories. We were rowdy, to say the least. Right? We got into a lot of trouble. Jesus Christ, we should have been in jail multiple times over for some of the shit that we were doing, bro. And I think we got lucky breaks. We were some of the few out of that entire group of friends that we had that got those lucky breaks. And just like watching you, right? Like I can see where you're going. Because again, it was just that determination. You know, like people used to make fun of people who worked at the dumps and things like that, or had what they consider as, menial jobs or that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And he was like, do I care? Like, I'm making my money.
Yeah.
Guess what? I have a house at the age of, when did you buy your first house? Like you were 25, 26?
27.
How many people in the fucking Bay Area can say, I bought a goddamn house at 27?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right? And now you own multiple properties around the country, has a baby, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I just saw with you what determination and just, again, that sharpening stone, what you do with life. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you.
Yep.
What are you doing to sharpen your stone?
Absolutely fucking nothing.
What's the plan?
No. I you shouldn't say that. I'll answer that for you. What I saw is you specifically told, we talked about it. Like, you're doing construction right now, right?
I mean, that was for my sister, but sure.
Are you doing construction right now?
No. We were done with that job. It was, again, we were remodeling a house for my sister.
Okay. Well, that was maybe just a stepping stone, right? Because we talked about, like, how much, like, obviously it's very stressful to be in sales, and like every month's a new month, and you take your homework with you because you're just always having to be on. And then you left that place to clear your mind and to just do this, like, this mindful labor, this mindless labor, that just allowed you to just think, right? And just put your head down and just work. And I think that's necessary, right? Like you do need to have that time where you're just thinking to figure it out. And so, nothing comes to mind after thinking about that moment.
I mean, there are certain things that I'd like to explore, but I haven't, and that's why I said, like, nothing, right? There's no blade to be sharper right now. It's because I'm still looking at a table full of knives, right? Like, I do have multiple options. I could go back into the corporate world. I could go back to finance. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I've gotten plenty of offers from kinds of different places.
You can also run with the comedian stand-up.
The comedy, yes, I definitely want to give it a shot.
So don't. But at the same time, it's like he started from one point, and he's seen his vision of where he wanted to be. He was determined to go to that. I did the same thing. I had a vision. I made a goal. I do this on a daily basis. I set a daily goal, set a weekly goal, set a yearly goal. I want where I want to be in 5 years, and I accomplished those goals.
Wow.
So it's kind of like I keep pushing myself to be better.
Yeah.
Even the same thing was with reading and learning a subject. I say, okay, this week I'm studying this, and I just study the topic and go with it. At least I'm still keeping my brain fresh, right? Same thing with you. You got to start from one point and just start little by little, but still work towards something. You can't just not start. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
oh no, I know. Like, here's the thing. It's kind of like what you said. I know I'm going to be successful. I've never failed at anything that I've tried, right?
I mean, I'm the one who convinced you to get into the car business.
Okay, there's a lot going on
I
here.
can tell you that. This is the dude.
Really?
He was like, bro, you can.
So he was down at one point, right? And he didn't know what he was going to do. He was same like right now, but he's obviously in a better place right now. I told him, dude, to be honest with you, I can see you as a car salesman or even in the housing business.
That's funny.
Because you have a way of persuading people and talking to people.
Yeah.
And I said, put yourself in a car dealership. How you would kill it. Go out there and just try it. Just started trying it, and then
it was
that's amazing.
During a dark period of my life. Like, I had gotten arrested. I just didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. I was making mistakes left and right. You know, I was abusing alcohol. I was abusing drugs. You name it, I was doing it, fucking up. But here's the thing: I could hide it really well, so I was still doing other things. Like, at that time, I was a bouncer, right, at night, and I was doing construction during the day. I was doing like concrete. And within 6 months, I became a project manager. You know what I mean? Which doesn't really happen. You know, so I started doing concrete. 6 months later, I was a project manager. When I was at the tile and granite company, within 3 months, they had me running the warehouse. You know, stuff like that. So I always knew that I had the talent and the skill to do whatever I put my mind to. Right? It's just I want to love what I do, whatever it is I do for the rest of my life. I just haven't figured that part out. You know what I mean? Like you found fitness, right? You love it. You told me how much you love it. You love helping people, right? And it's probably one of the most important things I think about our society today. Like, I'm very overweight, obviously. Andy's very overweight. A lot of people are. It's 1 in 3 people in this country are obese or close to it.
Yeah.
Right? Diabetes, soaring, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like someone like you, the way that you are, the calmness, the confidence, the lack of judgment, right, is another thing. Like, I've never heard you. Now, you'll tell someone something that they need to hear, right? But there's no judgment behind it. Right? Like I could, if you sat here and said, like, hey, look, I'm not saying you're going to die because you're fat, but your chances of dying early in life are way higher than mine.
So it's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like there's no hurt behind it. It's just a fact.
We had a friend, Jerry. We went out to a comedy show, and I was over here him talking to another individual that we went out with, and he said a crazy fact that kind of scared me. And I want to get back into fitness to get myself healthier. And he called me, and we had a conversation about this. He said that he was talking. He's a manager at 24 Hour Fitness, and he says that he was talking to one of the trainers, and he said, hey, unfortunately, because we're big guys, we have shorter lives. But at the same time, we can fix that now. But knowing what you know right now, have you ever seen anybody in their 90s, 80s, 90s that are plus 300 pounds?
Wow.
And it scared me.
Wow.
Because I'm plus 300. I don't know where you're at, but
close to it, if not a little over. Yeah.
If it makes me it kind of opens up the reality of what it is right now. And it's true. Because everybody you see that's in their 80s, at one point were fit or active throughout their whole life, and their body just started shutting down.
Yeah.
But if you're basically putting your body in a negative base where we're at right now.
Yeah, no, I get it.
How long are you going to last?
Yeah.
So it scared me because my daughter just turned 1 year old. And in my head, I'm like, I got to do better for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why you told me, let's talk to you about let's having a podcast. It's like, yeah, let's pick his brain because we need motivation for sure to better our lives.
You know, what you were talking about and like just the different ventures that you went on, your purpose, right? Like, what is your purpose? What is success? I wanted to ask you that question, right? Like, all these things come to mind, but ultimately,
I used to think success meant money. I've had plenty of money.
I mean, and that could.
But no, now, and God damn it, it's one of those. Why don't they teach this shit in school, dude?
They don't want you to know.
Money is not the same as success. It's just not. I've blown 15, 20 grand in a weekend. And guess what? At the end of it, I never felt good about it. I always thought, why the fuck did I just do that?
Yeah.
I went to fucking Mexico, bought a Rolex, and lost it on the beach the same fucking day. And
I didn't know about that.
I mean? Like, and to me, it was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll get more money.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I kept getting more and more miserable, right? And I realized, probably within like the last year, money is not success, not even close to it. It's, now, I genuinely believe it's peace of mind. That's success. When you can lay your head down on the pillow and be perfectly at peace when you wake up. And when you wake up in the morning. I
just had deja vu right now. So tripping.
That's another conversation. What is deja vu? But no, and dude, you're not wrong because you get to decide what success is. You get to decide what success. My vision of success, my definition, there's a lot of money in that definition for me.
It comes with the success.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a part of it, right? Because I truly believe money answers a lot of things. I heard this guy say, if you were rich, your prayer life would change. You wouldn't pray you'd have a hard time praying because if you had all the money in the world, majority of your prayers would be answered by money, right? Because we pray about our daily needs. God, help me today. I just need it. It's like, dude, your prayer life will change if you just had all the money in the world. You'd start to look at bigger things like, okay, let me pray about. I don't want to get into that, but if that makes sense, we'll keep it at that.
I mean, it does, and like that kind of goes into peace of mind. Like peace of mind is like I don't have to worry about bills. Like if I just have enough to cover my bills, cover the needs of me and my loved ones, anything above that is a plus, excellent, right? But as long as I have that, again, as long as, like I said, when I go to bed, I'm not worried about anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, shit, PG&E's due tomorrow. Hey, my car payment's due in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Hey, am I going to be able to am I going to be able to buy Christmas presents this month? You know what I mean? Like, those are the kinds of things. And yes, money is part of it, obviously. But again, in my mind, it was just like money solves all problems. And it wasn't until I reached a certain point financially, when I was making a certain point, but I was so miserable. I put on so much weight being in the car business, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah,
if you look at me from when I entered the car business I gained easily 100 pounds.
I get it.
Do you think that might have to deal with stress and depression?
A big part of it.
Absolutely.
But I think it's all together. I think it's
I
really
think that's my problem, is that sleep's a big part of your fitness.
Absolutely.
And I don't sleep well. So, because I have stress because of the things I have to do for my household and support my family. And then depression goes into it too, and it takes a toll on your body, and it brings your drive down, or your
I mean, depression does a lot of things, man. I'm not like depression, anxiety. These are two things that I keep hearing people throw out there. Like, I'm depressed and I deal with anxiety. I can't say that I've ever been depressed, man, or ever had anxiety.
Yeah. But I think that might be because you're fit.
Well,
like activity, there's been plenty of studies that show
activity
boosts your dopamine levels. It improves neural pathways.
I agree. So like when people say, there's this, my coach that I hired, he says it all the time. like anxiety, you're telling me you have anxiety, or you're telling me you're depressed? Do 300 burpees and tell me if you feel anxious by number 77. When you're huffing and puffing and when you're like, oh my goodness, and your adrenaline is through the roof and your dopamine levels are high and you're just trying to push, you're not thinking about anything else except for that moment and trying to like, and then when you're done with those 300, I mean, you're on top of a mountain, and you tell me if you still feel anxious or depressed about anything.
When you work out, it does release happy endorphins.
But you got to work out to a certain intensity. You can't just stumble into the gym and think you're going to shake that anxiety or depression off. You actually have to get to that certain level.
So you're a believer in circuit training?
A believer in what?
Circuit training.
Circuit training.
More like, I think it means more like calisthenics. Burpees is like calisthenics. You know?
Well, I'm just saying.
It's called circuit training.
Okay.
It's like you keep your heart rate and you keep going. You jump on.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Like 10 minutes.
This is actually a good topic, and on my podcast, I'm gonna have a personal trainer, and this is exactly what I want to get into. My biggest issue. This is kind of off topic, or it's like a side thing. I got so caught up in the science behind everything when I became a trainer, and I think this is great to share with everybody. Don't get caught up in what the science says, because this doctor is saying this, and this person is saying that, and the health studies of America is telling you to have this, and it's like everybody has an opinion. Bro, just move. Just start moving. I don't care where you go. I don't care, like, barefoot, you got Nikes, you wear Adidas, it doesn't matter. Like, go out and move. Stop overthinking it. Stop. Should I have organic or should I? It's like, bro, just don't have the donut. You know what I mean? Like, stop overthinking it. You're like, people, I got caught up in that. Like, circuit training is going to lose the muscle mass and I'm going to not gain body fat. And if I run or if I walk, and it's going to have a different, it's like, bro, just go hard. You know what I mean? Push yourself, have discipline, quit being soft, get off your ass, stop eating that junk that you know you're not supposed to eat. Like, it's simple, but people just want to
complicate it.
Yeah, people want to complicate it, you know? And then there's so many voices out there nowadays. It's like, who do I listen to? Who's correct?
People's anxiety is what it is.
Back to anxiety and depression. So anxiety, I truly believe I probably didn't have it because I keep a certain level of activity and fitness in my life. Depression, what do you guys think about this? My coach was talking about depression. He's like, depression is the most selfish thing in the world. Because when you're depressed, you're thinking about I'm like, I don't know what a depressed person would be talking about, but like when you're depressed, you're just like, you're depressed. It's all about you. It's like,
you retreat into yourself.
Just like anxiety. Try 300 burpees. Tell me if you still have anxiety. If you're dealing with depression, go and help one person today and serve somebody else and tell me if you still feel depressed. Stop making it about you and go reach out to somebody. Go impact somebody's life in a positive way. And after doing that deed or action, tell me if you still feel, or tell me if you got rid of a little bit of that depression out of your life.
On what we were just talking about earlier today about energy.
Yeah. It's just like, dude, we make it. I even think anxiety. I was having this argument with my wife. Like, I want to be very set in stone and ignorant about this topic because I think ignorance. Like, don't make it a thing. Like, this guy that went to prison for 10 years, he was talking to me about how like people in prison don't have anxiety. Like, it's not a thing in prison. Like, medication, people who need medication, like, whatever you're dealing with, bro, like, it doesn't exist here. We're not going to coddle you in your medication. Like, you don't, like, and so just people, like, when you don't make it a thing, it doesn't exist. It's not real. You know what I mean? What do you guys think about that? Do you really think it's like this clinical thing that people are dealing with? I mean, I don't know anything about depression, anxiety.
So I think depression has different
stages, levels?
Stages and different types of depression. So you can be depressed about something that happened in your past, and you can be depressed about something that's happened in the present. I understand what you're saying is about being selfish and stuff like that. That's a present situation, but if you're depressed about what happened in the past, and it coming back and it's haunting you, and you're depressed about it, it's a different situation, because you're not being selfish. It's something that actually happened to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I think you're both saying the same thing, and I actually agree with it. It's depression I definitely believe it's real. But I also definitely believe you're 100% right. It is the most selfish disease.
Wow.
Because there's no doubting that depression is real.
I understand.
But it is the most selfish disease. Probably second in my mind to alcoholism, right? Addiction. And it does make you. It damn near forces you to only think about your own problems. And here's the beautiful thing that you said, right? When in my most depressed moments, it's funny that you said that because I know what makes me feel better is helping other people. Like when I'm doing really low, right? Like whenever I'm really low, I want to go give food and supplies to homeless people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I even told you, like when my cars got towed, I was literally on the way to give like water to homeless people in 120-degree weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was brilliant insight.
Yeah.
Like, I really like it. Before we cut off the podcast, though, I want to ask you. There's a lot of people who are worried about working out and getting started, right? Because that's the first step is always the hardest. What are 3 things? The most important things you would say to do that you could do, doesn't cost you money, or it's very inexpensive. 3 things that you could do every single day that would start to make a difference.
Okay.
After your question, I have one more.
Yes. Yeah. Steps. First of all, I mean, I'm just going to go off the top of my head. I might regret my answers, but for the most part, this is just what's on my heart. Steps. Everybody needs. See, this leads me into another thing. Everybody should be walking, right? People think 10,000 steps is the goal. 10,000 steps is the minimum for you to keep your health. Like it's just to break even, right? From your daily sitting, or from your lack of, fitness. Like you need to be getting 10,000 steps just to break even. If you think about, when we used to get water from a well, we were walking at least a quarter mile, right? Mm-hmm. Carrying back a bucket of water, and now we have Uber Eats or delivery to your door.
Everything's so convenient.
24 pack of water, like easy, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to walk more. You need to get your steps in. And along with that, people look at me crazy when I tell them to do a push-up or when I tell them that everybody should be able to do a pull-up. Like everybody should be able to squat down very low. I think about third world countries and like they don't have toilets. They have holes that they poop in. They got to get down on the floor. They got to pop a squat. Like 65-year-old, 85-year-old men getting down in a low squat. They have that mobility. And so we should all be able to do that. Like, why can we not squat, right? Mm-hmm. Why can't you do a pull-up? Like you're hanging off a cliff somewhere, like your life's depending on it. Like you should be able to pull yourself up.
I totally agree with you, but I was at 235 lead muscle and I still couldn't do pull-up.
All right. So pull-up is a stretch, but it's the basic.
Push-ups though, yeah.
Push-ups, you should be able to push yourself up. Yes, 100. You should be able to control your own body weight.
Start that path.
Start to walk. Everybody should be able to start by walking, because what I want to say along with that pull-up and push-up is we should all be able to run at full speed in case there's a lion chasing us. Just like when we were hunters and gatherers, like you can't run, you can't catch your food. You're not eating, but now we don't have to run. And people like are grateful about it. Like, hey, we don't have to go anywhere. We can just get it. It's like, dude, you're killing yourself. We were just talking about your dad and how you don't, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Exactly. The second thing, nutrition, man. Like you are what you eat is the number one thing like that I truly believe in. And I always say, like, before you start any activity, just like before you go on a road trip, you're stopping at the gas station. I know it's simple and people don't want to hear it because it's the biggest thing. But you gotta fuel your body correctly. We really need to stop, just seeking that pleasure. And I heard this thing where it was like, when we eat whole food, like one ingredient foods, we call it a diet. It's like, no, bro, it's just eating. Like when you stop eating processed food, and you start to eat real food, like you're on a diet, it's like, no, that's what we should be doing. And so I'm not going to go into calories and proteins. Start there. Start by eating 5 ingredients or less, right? So like I had sweet potatoes the other day. I had sweet potatoes the other day. I mixed them with some olive oil, another whole ingredient, right? And virgin olive oil, sweet potato fries, threw them in an air fryer with some paprika, salt, pepper, bomb, right? And I had them with ketchup, organic ketchup from Trader Joe's. I didn't even look at those ingredients, but I guarantee it's not the worst thing, right? But like, bomb. I'm just sitting there eating sweet potato fries.
When it comes to food, though, it is about portion too. Correct?
Well, calories is another thing, but that's what I'm saying. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Just start by having whole food, and I guarantee you. Okay, because think about this: your favorite chips. Let's just think of a bag of Lay's. If you sit here and eat this bag of Lay's and watch this whole basketball game, you can finish the whole bag without mindlessly. Like you're just Try to eat 1 or 2 potatoes. Right? You'd be so full. There's a difference, right? Whole food versus processed food. So you talk about portion control. If you just stick with whole foods and real ingredients, bro, try to go past the calories that you're supposed to eat in a day. You can't. You're going to be right at maintenance. Your body will tell you, hey, I'm full. You'll be full. You'll be like, I don't even feel like eating. And you'll stay within the calories that you're actually supposed to eat. But the moment you open a bag of chips and you start to dip the guac, you're already 1,000 calories in by chip number 13, which you can easily do, and you're done for the day. And that's just the snack before the game starts and you're having hamburgers and hot dogs, not to mention the drinks and the calories that you're getting from that. And that's just lunch. We're not even talking about breakfast that you had or dinner that you're going to have. We're just talking about lunch. And so the calories are going up because we're eating so many processed food that are very low in nutrients and that are just, like I said, super high in calories. Bro, guacamole is one of the highest. It's super high in calories. Measure out your olive oils. Measure out a handful of almonds. You're going to be like, what the hell? This is just like what I shove in my mouth at once. And I'll have like 6 of these. You know what I mean? But like if you actually measure out a serving size of nuts, you'd be like, bro, that was like 7 peanuts or whatever. And it's so many calories, but we just don't keep track of it. But I'm not asking people to keep track. Eventually I do. Just eat whole foods and watch what happens if you combine that and getting your steps in. And so the third thing, hire JL Personal Training as your online coach, and he'll put you on. That's the third and final step. You know what I mean?
Well, before we end it, what is your guys' New Year's resolution?
Actually, mine's going to be pretty simple. I want to drop 50 pounds, and I want to quit smoking again, dude. Fuck, I need to quit smoking.
No,
I quit multiple times.
Oh, man. Try the Zen patches. At least you get rid of the tar.
We're trying to close this out, and I'm going to go in on you right now. The way that I stopped drinking wasn't by fighting the urge. Right now, I don't fight the urge to drink because I'm so focused on what you need to do that doesn't fit in your lifestyle. I don't have time to drink and get drunk or get high because it doesn't fit and align with my vision on where I'm trying to go in life. And so you're never going to win if you're resisting the urge. You know what I mean? With women, with lust, with biggest battle for men. If I have a girl right here and she's once again, me being a trainer in the gym and I'm like staring at her and I'm fighting the urge. It's like, nah, dude, you got to fix your focus on like.
Dial in.
What's that?
So basically, don't make resolutions.
No, it's not even that. That's a great resolution. And I want that for you. But, and let me say this, don't think about what you don't want. Think about the outcome that you want. Does that make sense?
I like that.
Stop fighting against this and start fighting for this.
So what's your resolution?
To continue this podcast, man, because I heard one of my pastors, one of my spiritual fathers, he was saying how God gives you 5 visions during November and December for you to execute the following year. And if you just take one of those 5 things and run with it, you'll see major success. And the podcast was one of them. And that's why I pulled the trigger on it. That's why I started it. And so my New Year's resolution is actually to post 52 episodes on my podcast, right? One every week, every Friday, Faithful Fit Fathers.
Challenge, there's 52 weeks in a year, so one every week.
Exactly. And so I'm on number 2. I got 2 so far, and I got 50 more to go. You got 50 pounds to go.
There you go.
And this is all being recorded. And so, we'll check back up next year. I can't wait, man, to record in December with you guys. But what about you, Andy?
You know what? I'm very big on positivity right now. Everything I see in the world is negative. So I just got done having a deep conversation with my wife, and I want to start turning negatives into positives and just keep my eyes focused on what needs to be done positively in my life. Just like how you said, you go out and help somebody and see how you feel then. So you're not selfish and being depressed. I want to focus on doing that type of stuff. It's like you could sit there and be depressed and be in a negative situation, or you could turn it into a positive situation.
Yeah.
That's what I want to focus on.
Hello.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Dab Podcast and the Fresh and Fit Podcast.
Fresh and Fit. I think that's another
Fresh
podcast.
and Fit Fellas.
Nah, you're thinking another podcast. I am the host of the Faithful Fit Fellas.
Host. Yes. Sorry.
Faithful Fit Fellas podcast,
Yes.
only on YouTube. Check us out, guys. And I appreciate you guys for having me. Andy, it was really nice to meet you, man. And I can't wait really to connect again in December and really talk about how we executed our goals and how we exceeded any expectations that we might have had. And thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.